Hey everybody, it's Matt and we're back with BPTV. So we've got a real treat for you today. We have teamed up with LISD Advanced Culinary Instructor, Chef David Gooch. If you're not familiar with Gooch, he is on your LISD channels every week. He's got his own show. He rocks and cooks a lot of cool stuff. Definitely check that out. We teamed up with him this week to make an awesome video about grilling, gardening, and his favorite sauce. Hope you guys love it.
Hey guys, Chef Gooch here. I'm at Big Plate today and we're going to be looking at some of my favorite summer activities. We're going to be combining them up together. I'm talking about grilling and then also gardening and some of the tools we can use here from Big Plate that go hand in hand with those activities. So my favorite sauce is a South American sauce called Chimichurri. It uses fresh herbs like cilantro, parsley, but you can use any kind of herbs and kind of make it your own. And it goes really good with grilled meats, especially beef or chicken and fish. So let's take a look and get started. Today we're going to be using some fresh cilantro and some flat leaf parsley. I've also got some curly parsley. You could use fresh oregano, fresh marjoram. We want a lot of herbs, probably roughly a cup chopped up. The more flavorful herbs like marjoram or oregano, you want a little bit less of that. Then we're also going to add one pepper, got a little bit of heat, so we've got one jalapeno, and you only need about 1 or 2 cloves of garlic, depending on your taste. And then we're going to mix that all up with a little bit of red wine vinegar and some olive oil, and it's a really rustic, really easy sauce. It's really fast, really fun to make. All right, so the basis of chimichurri is going to be our fresh herbs, and I've got roughly a cup of fresh cilantro and a cup of fresh parsley right here, so that's going to be our base to start. Let's talk about using our knife. You want to make sure you have a really sharp knife, that way it's cutting the herbs and not just crushing them. And then we want to make sure we're holding and handling our knife correctly. So with a big pile of herbs like this, I'm going to make sure I've got a good pinch grip on my knife here. I'm going to place my hand on the back and we're just going to start rough chopping through. And now that we've got everything kind of started, you can start to kind of pick up the knife to do this rocking motion. Now this knife works really well for this because the blade has more of a curve than say something like a santoku or a nikiri, which have a flatter edge, and they're really good for chopping vegetables, but not so much for rocking. So let's just keep this going. So what I'm looking for with these herbs is a fine dice, really finely chopped. We don't want these big chunks. It doesn't have to be pureed. I could grab a food processor if I wanted to do that. We're just going for a nice rustic chop. Almost there. Just a couple of big pieces left. If your knife is nice and sharp, it's going to make quick work of these herbs. All right, so we've got our finely chopped up herbs, which is a good start to any chimichurri. For the jalapeno, I'm going to use a santoku. You could also use a nikiri. It's a vegetable knife. They've got a wider tip than the chef's knife. And I'll show you how that's going to come in handy. It's also a slightly smaller knife. The blade isn't as long, and so it makes handling it a lot easier. It's also nice if you have smaller hands. So let's get going on this one. Same thing, we're going to do a pinch grip, keep our fingers out of the way, do a nice claw. We're going to cut the tip of our jalapeno off so we can stand it up. Makes it really easy to cut. We're just going to cut some fillets off the side here. Clean that up. All right, make sure you have a nice sharp blade, and if you do, you can cut through the outer skin of a pepper. If your knife isn't too sharp, it's gonna crunch through and it's gonna end up breaking the skin instead of slicing. So with a nice sharp knife, yeah, you don't hear anything, right? It's just cutting all the way through. We're gonna do Just 2 of these is all we probably need. This is a big pepper. So we got some matchsticks. We're just gonna do a nice little fine dice here. What I like about this knife, a couple of things. One, if you want to do the rocking motion like you would with a classic chef's knife, you can. There is a little bit of curve at the tip of the blade. You can also do what's called a push or a pull slice. Like this. You can also use the end to do some chopping if that's your style. So there's a lot of different things you can do. Another fun thing about this knife that I really like, and I use one quite a bit, it's quite the workhorse in my kitchen, is because the blade is fatter all the way to the end, it makes a really good scoop for picking up your vegetables and whatever you happen to be cutting. Or we can do the rocking, whatever you want to do. See that? All right, so we've got our jalapeno, we've got our herbs in our bowl. Next up, we're gonna add some garlic. You can add as much or as little as you want. I think all we need is about 1 clove for this recipe. So for the garlic, we're gonna use a santoku or you can use a nikiri. We're gonna do a really fine dice on this garlic clove. I'm gonna start by slicing it, then going this way, and then we're gonna rock it just like we did with those herbs. All right, so we've got the main ingredients, all the vegetables for our chimichurri. Next up is the liquids. We're just gonna whisk in a little bit of oil and some red wine vinegar, and that's all it's gonna take. And we'll season it and we'll be finished. So start off with a little bit of oil. Some red wine vinegar. The sauce is really fun. It's super versatile. When it's the winter and I'm having a craving for this sauce and I don't have any fresh herbs, I'll try and get some fresh from a grocery store, maybe use a combination of dried. I'll use dried red pepper flakes instead of a fresh jalapeno. Very versatile. All right, all that's left is a little salt and pepper and we're ready to put it on some grilled meat. So chimichurri is really great with grilled meats. We've got it here with some chicken. It goes really good with beef and steaks. I really like it with a ribeye because the acidity from the vinegar helps cut the extra fat that's in a ribeye. It can go really great with fish. And it's a really rustic sauce. It's chunky. It's gonna go really well and brighten up all of your summertime meals. All right here I've got several of the Miyabi line of knives. I love these knives. They're super sharp right out of the box. I've been using some of them for months, haven't had to resharpen, only hone. So they stay sharp for a really long time. They're very versatile. You can also see that there's a knife for every job. You've got your classic chef knife. I'm a huge fan of this nikiri and also the santoku. I really love the width on this blade because when you're done chopping stuff up, you can just scoop it up and just keep going. Really versatile tool. So I really hope you enjoy these knives as much as I do.